everyone, welcome to week 6, and I know you all are going to start your final ID project, and so I wanted to kind of give you all an idea of what it is to start your Canvas build. And I was going to record our fireside chat from yesterday, however, the recording didn't come out the way that I wanted it to, so I'm doing a new one that I hope will help you all again become more familiar with the use of Canvas. So, as I was explaining to the people from yesterday who joined the fireside chat, when we talk about building, think of instructional designers in two roles. You can think of them as an architect who is designing the blueprints and building a course, or they can also be kind of the foreman, the construction worker of building what the architect had planned. So at times there will be the need for you all to just design things like the lesson plans and potentially work with an educational technologist or someone else, a multimedia specialist, to build your course. Or you might be on the receiving end where you have another instructional designer plan out the learning design and give you the directions to build the course in a learning management system. So that brings me to the point of, and sometimes you can wear both hats too, but that brings me to the point of once you get into Canvas, the learning management system. And so to clarify a little bit more, as you know, with a learning management system, it just makes things easier for teachers. It holds the materials, it's where the grade book can be, it's where the students can interact, it's the place to be for your educational experience. And there's different ones. We use Canvas, but there's other ones like Blackboard, Moodle, D2L. So those are all common Angel learning management systems that have been shared with the world. And there's more than that, and sometimes universities create their own. But so for this final ID project, I just couldn't let you guys walk out the door without getting your hands a little dirty with being in a learning management system. So that way, even though you may use what you're designing for a project or just a video that you're sharing and not necessarily within Canvas, you at least would be able to have some experience working with a learning management system on the back end. You have good experience as students using an LMS, but then seeing the background of it will help too. So the next thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen with you all, and I will walk through how to build a course in Canvas from like a basic level. All right, give me one moment to get things in place. Okay, I'm going to take myself off. All right. So right now you should see the Canvas course. It's my sandbox. It's empty. So when you requested your sandbox with UF, they should have sent you an email basically saying, hey, your sandbox is coming to you. And when you come in and then after a little while, you can come into Canvas and look at the dashboard and see your sandbox. So here again, when you come into your sandbox course, you're basically going to see nothing. And so it's a little daunting to then be like, okay, how am I going to start building? So let me go ahead and go over the navigation. So over here to the left, let me go ahead and add some kind of pointing out feature so that I can point to you all to the right places. So over here, over here, you're going to have the initial navigation area where you will see your dashboard, how to get to different courses, your own profile. That's the first level of navigation. Then over here in this area, as you see that I'm kind of circling with this blue pointer, is going to be the second level of navigation, where that's going to tell you how to get to the quizzes, to the assignments, etc. So that's something that you are probably more familiar with using and getting into the course. And then over here, you have the area of where you would be seeing the things that you're creating. So what I'm going to do now is then have you all go to Pages, and when you go to create a page, you'll basically see this interface, and you can then go ahead, for example, type your heading. So let's go ahead and say you want to do a lesson title, and you want to call it How to Bake Cookies. And then here is where you type in your body. Now, when you go over accessibility, you're going to realize that you want to, for example, people tend to say Introduction to Baking Cookies, and they want to make that, for example, the header to the paragraph. And so instead of, making it a header for real, they kind of bold it, they might underline it, etc. But for accessibility's sake, so that the screen reader can read it, you can then go ahead and make this a heading 2. Because when you're at this level, it's a heading 1, and this is a heading 2. So then when someone who needs accessibility, I'm going to bring myself on screen so you can kind of see me talk. There I am. And I'm going to take off the pointer and move myself to the side, make myself a little bit smaller so I take up less room on the screen. There you go. And so you see that here with Introduction to Baking Cookies, you've made it a heading 2, so that when someone is doing a screen reader and they're not able to see the screen and the reader's reading everything, they can read the lesson title and then also say heads up that there's like a heading 2, and then read the content below. So for many of you, you'll go ahead and come here and then start typing, etc. Being like, these, the reason why I'm going over this lesson. So basically what you can do is take from your lesson plan and copy and paste here. So that's one way of building your course, and I'm going to go over the interface some more so that way you can become more familiar with things. So over here to the left is where you can have the font size. You can then choose, for example, whether it's something's a paragraph, a heading, what level of heading, if you want to bold text, italicize. So the area here is very similar to what you would see in like a Word document, a word processing situation. Now, when you go over here to these other things, you can, for example, change the color. You can highlight things in different colors. If you're teaching math or science, you have your exponents and subscripts that you can also do too. This is the part where you might be most interested in linking things externally, or the course links. So for example, if you click on external links, you can type in any or paste any website and paste it here so that it's then related to the text and people can hyperlink and click on it. Now, if it's something within the course, like when you're in my course and you need to go to quizzes and discussions, it's within the course, you can click on course links and it'll take you to the different areas and you can link to other parts of your course. Okay? So again, we've gone over the different areas of navigation. We've gone to a page. We opened a page, created and started the heading 1, the heading 2, some more of the text. We've gone over that this area on the top here is considered the rich content editor, where you can, again, choose different things about your text, any kind of bold, italices, underlines, colors. hyperlinking, and then also now we're moving towards the multimedia. You can add images here, as well as add any kind of recordings. And then something that will be good for you all is, for example, adding these applications. So this is where, if you're interested in adding Play Pause It, this is where you can add Play Pause It. If you want to add a YouTube video, this is where you can add the YouTube video. Now, if you don't see this immediately, what you can do is go to View All. And then, for example, go to YouTube. Now, instead of being tempted to click on this drop down, you just want to click on the word itself. So YouTube. And then we're going to look for, like, let's say, videos of cookies. Okay, so we're going to embed this video on cookies. So we have the way with this kind of like outlet plug icon to embed videos. And here you can also, goes back to the Microsoft Word feel of, alignment, using bullets, tables. And then once you're done, what you want to do is hit save. So notice that I didn't really format that well. I put the video right after the title, but look, it saved all my information. And actually what I'll go ahead and do is make this look a little bit nicer. I want to make the video below the header. I'm going to bring my text up here, and then underneath the heading, put that text there that I had typed, and then save. And so notice that here we are. We got our header, learning how to bake cookies. We got introduction to baking cookies, and then some context and a video. So a student, when they're coming in, can have this then be their experience. So this is then how you can basically create a page within Canvas. Over here to the left hand side, you can create an assignment. So plus assignment. So anytime you see this plus something, you can hit plus assignment, and that way you can create it. So you want to do, for example, a quiz on creating, how about testing your knowledge, and we'll call it baking cookies. And then you can put your introduction here. And then below, this is where you can, for example, assign the points. If you want to display the grade as points, how do you want your students to submit? How many attempts? So these are all things that you're thinking about, like what you want your students to do. It's easy as a student to be like, okay, these are my parameters. But as an instructor, you want to think, oh, okay, what else? Like, why would I want students to do unlimited versus unlimited? And then also when I talk about plagiarism and Turnitin, when you go to, and it kind of hid from me the other day too, if you go to online and choose file uploads, scroll down, you're allowed to then go ahead and turn on Turnitin and give it a moment, and then you can actually set all the things that you want Turnitin to check if you were giving this assignment to students to submit. And then once you're done, you can hit save, and here you are. You just created your assignment. So if you were like, Brenda, that's great. I've created a page, I've created an assignment, and actually with an assignment, you can also add the rubric here too. So if you're trying to help students know how you're going to grade them, you can add the rubric here. And then once you're done, create the rubric, and that's how you do that. Done. So as I was mentioning, you're like, well, how do I have the students go through all these things? I just created a page, I just created an assignment. But look, when I go home, it still looks like this. So what do? So there's a couple of ways to do this, and when we were meeting yesterday, one of the students asked a really good question about whether or not something should be a module or not. So in my experience with you all, I would say a module would be more an advanced ID. At this time, you don't necessarily have the time to create a full module. But if you are interested, you can go to modules. You can create a module, for example, call it module 1, and then maybe the title of it. And then when you go to this plus sign, you can bring down the assignment that you created, anything that you create, or you can just add a new thing. For example, if we go to page, we can either add a new page or bring in that one that we created called How to Bake Cookies. And there you go. So there's a lot of things that you can do to try to learn and practice. But for me, I just want to see that you all have exposure to using Canvas, that you've been able to take the lesson plan that you have and put it into Canvas and be able to make it relatively visually pleasing. It doesn't have to be like super crazy with the colors and the images and the matching, but just that it's clean and that students would be able to navigate through it. So when we go to home now, look, right now module is saved as my home page. So when I come here, by default, I can see, okay, the modules, I need to go into lesson how to bake cookies. Now let's say you're not interested in the module to be the home page. What you can do is go to your page, like if you wanted this to be your home page. You're going to need to publish it first. Then you're going to go to these dots. So anytime you see 3 dots like this, that means you're going to be able to do something. And if you click on it, you'll have options pop out. So for example, when I did that, I can make this a front page. So I'm going to go ahead, I published it, go to the 3 dots, I had made it a front page. So now it's, you see this designation here, it's a front page. And I can go home and I can choose my home page right here. So those of you who are wondering where I'm in this section right here where you see that red button published. You're going to go 3 down to choose home page, and instead of having the course modules be the home page, you're going to do the page front page as the front page. So you're going to click on that, and then look, instead of the modules being the front page, now it's this lesson that I've created. People can automatically come to this lesson and start reading the introduction, start watching the video, which you're going to be creating your own interactive video. And when I say interactive, that's going to mean that you all are going to be practicing using PlayPosit, a video of your choice, a video tool of your choice. So some of you might want to practice with PlayPosit, some of you might want to use Edpuzzle, some of you are using Kahoot. I just need to see that you all been able to not just create a video, but be able to make it interactive between you and the students. Whether you're just giving the video to them or you're showing it in class. So just kind of that interaction there. So yes, so for this assignment, even if you just kind of started learning the space and basically putting your whole lesson here in one page in a good way, maybe giving me some assignments so I know how you use either the assignment, discussion, or quiz feature. So over here to the left is where you can choose to create an assignment, a discussion, or a quiz. That's pretty much all I'm after for the final ID project. Seeing how you all have evolved your lesson plan, and then also be able to create it within a learning management system. Now, I am available for any questions. I don't want to overwhelm you all because some of you might be very, very new to this. So I think just by showing you how to create a page and how to create an activity and how to use that rich content editor is a good start. Now, for some of you who want to go to a more advanced level and you're like, Brenda, I want to make pages like you make pages. So what I'm going to do is go to a clean page. So remember, to get to all the different features in Canvas, you want to stay in this white space here. So I'm going to Pages, I'm going to View All Pages, and I'm going to click on Plus Page. I'm going to create a new page. And I'm going to call it Advanced ID work. And so you'll probably be working with this more in Advanced ID. But now, some people would say it's easier, some people would say it's harder. Like, if I'm somebody new and just using these features here and typing it up and making sure that, they're good size font, spaced apart, that's going to be sufficient already. But if you go up here to the top right hand space where you see this rocket, it's called Design Tools. Open up Design Tools. And I'm actually going to make my border a little bit bigger so you guys don't get distracted with my background, because you're going to be looking in this top right corner here. So when you open the rocket, this is called Design Tools. And what you can do is basically put in things that would require some advanced HTML without having to know like a lot of HTML. So for example, when you go to create and edit content, you can choose a theme. So that theme will be the theme of your page. So let's say we want to go to institutional themes and look at all these different ones here. I want to go with the flat sections. How about that? So I'm going to choose flat sections. I'll be honest, that's kind of one of our favorite layouts. Click on flat sections. And here, remember how we were just typing up a heading, but when you clicked on flat sections and it gave you a heading, you were able to now get something that's more stylized and designed. So for example, you want to maybe say introduction, and you want to go ahead and say like how to bake cookies. So that's how you would then go ahead and start off your course just by using Design Tools. Now if you're ready to move on to the next section, you would then go ahead and what we call add a block. So if you think about it as a page just being built by blocks, you have, for example, you add a content block here, and we already have our title, and so now the rest of it is basically adding things. You want to add an introduction, you want to add in objectives, reading. So notice, again, secret hint, all these different templates, these blocks match your lesson plan. So if you went ahead and, for example, popped in everything through activities, you've nicely created this page already that's already stylized, and you can then go ahead and copy and paste your lesson into here and then add your multimedia. Okay, so that, and I would encourage, that was, I wouldn't say that was super fast, but for those of you who are learning, you might want to go back and rewind that part and see how I got to this page, how I opened Design Tools, how I was able to go to add rearrange content blocks, and how I was able to create, how I was first able to choose a theme, and then able to go and add and rearrange content blocks. Okay, and then that way you can get to here and then save it, so that once you copy your information, you have this as well. All right, now not wanting to give you all too much information. Again, Design Tools can only be accessed in edit mode. So if you're here and you don't see the rocket, don't be freaked out that like you can't get to it. Just go ahead and hit edit, go to the rocket again, and then start building with these different features. Now, some of these features you might be like, Brenda, I don't see them. And the reason why that is because Design Tools starts you off with the basic features. So what I'd like for you all to do is that when you first open the rocket, go to the settings here in the top right, click on that, And you're basically going to enable everything. That way, you can do all these things. You don't have to worry about really knowing them, but you want to at least be able to access them. So I should have also told you that before you get started with design tools, make sure to go to the right hand side also, click on the design tool settings, and be able to enable all of these as well. Once you've enabled them, you'll have access to all these different things that you can try and play around with. And if you have the time, feel free to play around with them, but what I've shown you is already sufficient enough for this course. And if you do want to know more, if you, for example, click on Get Help, there's going to be a user guide where it actually is a tutorial on how to use design tools. I would highly recommend it because I think it's invaluable that you can even tell people, like an employer, that, hey, I know how to use design tools in Canvas. And if they have it, then that's great. Then you can speak their language. Now, someone else in the class asked a good question about, like, how is this work being transferred to other courses? So if you are using Canvas in your school or your company, etc., if you don't have design tools, I probably would encourage you not to use it, because there are certain things with the design tools, like their secret sauce, that won't transfer into another Canvas course unless that other institution has design tools as well. So I don't want you to kind of like take this, think you're going to be able to transfer it, and it won't transfer. So you would want to go with that basic design that I was showing you earlier. Now, if you were just doing this for experience, getting to know the tool, it'll teach you the way that you think and some skills that I think can translate to other applications. So I still think it's a worthy case, even if you can't necessarily transfer it. And yeah, so generally, if it's a general Canvas work, it will be able to transfer. Even if you're trying to move it into like Blackboard or another learning management system, there's a way to export these courses as a package. But I wouldn't worry about that. I would just go ahead and do this project. Do as much as you can that can also be used in the real world, because again, I don't want you all to have to just do this just for nothing, even though it's good to have the experience still. So then afterward, you would just go ahead and save. Now, I'm going to show you a couple more things before I'm done with this video. One is to make sure that when you're ready to share with the world your work, make sure to publish. I can't tell you how many times where people get freaked out. They're like, oh no, what happened to my content? How come nobody can see it? It's just because people have just forgotten to publish. So one place to publish is the work itself, so like this page. And also you want to go to home and publish your course. So make sure that in order for other people to see and give you feedback, you're going to come here and publish the course. And once it's published, it will turn green. And now your course is published. Now, when I talk about other people seeing things and giving you feedback, you want to go down to the left here and go to Settings. So that's a little fast, so I'm going to go ahead and go over that again. In order to make the course visible without having to add people to your course, so you want to make it public, you want to go to Settings in the bottom left-hand corner here where it says Settings. Click on that. And this now gives you some more features. You can choose an image for your thumbnail on the dashboard when you first come into Canvas, so people can be like, oh yeah, the image with the cookies, that's the course that I'm going to be taking. But when you scroll down here and you see visibility, so I'm going to go back and use my pointer right here. When you see visibility, excuse me, actually it made me blue. I'm going to make myself not blue, use the pointer, and right here, I'm covering the word, but right here you'll see visibility. what I want you all to do is to change visibility to public, and then go to the bottom and update course details. Okay, so that way when you share the link with the course with other students, other people will be able to see it without being added to your course. So again, go to visibility, change to public, scroll down. Now this is the annoying thing about Canvas that I don't love, is that sometimes you save things and sometimes you don't, but in this case you'll have to save it. So you'll update course details, and that way when you share it with people, you can, for example, go home and then take this address at the top like a website and then share it in the course. Now, the neat thing about this, as you know with any website, is that this is the name of UF's Canvas experience, ufl.instructure.com. It's then taking you to courses. And then lastly, it has the number. So even though your course might be named, well, it's named your sandbox, but the number is actually on the back end designating which course number it is. Anyways, that's a side note. So here we are. So once you get your lesson plan in, whether you use design tools or not, I'm going to bring myself full screen so I can give a conclusion, and take the slides off and put myself here. Now you can totally see me working with and giving you guys the experience there. All right, so once you finish creating your course, you should be very proud. You went through the planning phase. Actually, you pretty much gone through the ad side of ADDIE, where you've done the analysis with the needs assessment. You were designing it, whether you were creating the lesson plan, maybe if you're storyboarding it out with how you want it to look, and then within Canvas now you're developing it. So you should be very proud, and that you've gone through all these different steps, and that you're going to share it and I'll give feedback, and your peers will give you feedback. I would say give yourself not just 1 week, but 2 weeks, this week and next week. And to save you from yourself, I would say devote 5 to 10 hours on this project. I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm just saying that learning the learning management system, and then also having 2 weeks to do this, and next week I'm going to give you, you're pretty much only going to be doing this and the interactive video for Module 7. So that way you have enough time to be able to become familiar with the learning management system, finalize your learning materials and get it in here. Okay, well, if you have any questions, please refer back to the different parts of the video. I have them chaptered in the video description so that you can kind of jump to a part that you might want a refresher on. When you submit this, you'll submit it in a class discussion. You'll include the elements in the final ID project, which kind of are asking who's this designed for? What's the context? So that when people look at it and read it and go through the whole learning experience of your course, they kind of know, this was something that was maybe designed for the beginning of the semester or an end of the semester. This is for K-12 students. This is for adults. So it really will help your the other people going through the course out to know more about your course. Okay, well, I think that's it for now. Again, feel free to contact me, and thank you so much. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.